motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. I'm not doing it.
See?
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Rimworld with another tier list. I am still working on the Rimworld Odyssey with orks, but with the DLC campaign as long as Odyssey, and a race as abysmally unintelligent as orks, the playthrough is taking pretty long. Also, the main character is an orc that causes an explosion every time you say his name. Anyway, this tier list will be about the 44 new animals added in the Odyssey DLC, as there's plenty new trainings and some new ways to utilize animals. All in all, it's a pretty big day for Yitak and farm tools. Additionally, there is now also a tool that allows you to raise the training level of animals by using a new piece of mech technology, and I will be factoring that into my ranking as well, though still factoring in the general work to do so. One last thing, this tier list is my opinion, and even though the opinion of an arthropod supremacist is greater than that of every other life form in existence, that your tier list may differ slightly or greatly from my own. But with that being said, let's get started with the first category of the new animals, being that of the birds. And starting out, it is pretty rough out here for them, seeing as how there aren't really that many redeeming qualities for any of the birds in Odyssey. There are 11 new birds added in Rimworld's Odyssey, and 10 of them are capable of flight, which allow them to spawn in and leave from virtually anywhere on the map, and make them capable of moving around pretty easily. This mainly just makes them a pain to be hunted for food, or easy to scare away, though if they can be trained, their movement can be seen as a pretty decent asset. However, among the birds, there are very few that can actually be trained. Of the 4 small birds, bluebirds, macaws, crows, and sparrows, only macaws and crows can be trained with attack and guard. However, crows are able to access a new attack target ability, which allows them to be used by their handler like an ability to go out and attack a specific target. On the surface, this may seem useful combined with the crow's flight, allowing them to go lock down a dangerous enemy in melee combat, and it lets you pretend you have that one plasmid from BioShock Infinite. But ultimately, crows are abysmally weak, and they don't exactly have rat-level reproduction either, meaning even with 8+ crows on a single target, you aren't guaranteed your target will bleed out in a reasonable amount of time. Thus, since only crows are able to attack specific targets, and even then it isn't a very good usage of them, I'm going to be putting crows in D tier and the other 3 small birds in F tier. Now as for the medium birds, there isn't exactly much to say, as swans, flamingos, peacocks, penguins, and herons are all basically the exact same in regards to egg production of 30, meat production of 84, and trainability of nothing, and none of them are particularly good fighters either. They will be joining small birds over in F tier, with penguins at the bottom, just because they are the only Odyssey bird that can't fly. Next up we have quail, who aren't really small birds, but aren't really medium birds either. Being the only bird that requires a cage, even though they can fly, they won't fly out of the cage though for some reason, and these are the de facto egg layers of Odyssey, able to lay eggs that aren't fertilized, and are 3/4 as efficient as chickens, being slightly better than that of a duck. Nothing groundbreaking, but not terrible either, thus I'll give them the fair ranking of C tier. And the last of the birds we have are that of the vultures, being the only other trainable bird besides crow and macaws, and are almost capable of holding their own in a fight. Almost. As for production, they have the same meat value as the other mediums, but with even less egg production at only 15. But what actually pushes them into the decent category is the fact that they can eat rotten corpses, being good for corpse disposal all around. This combined with the fact that they aren't abysmally terrible in a fight leads me to give them a ranking of either high C or bottom of B tier. However, even though it's not a bird, there is one other flying creature, and it is easily the best of the birds category, and that's the locust. The locust is in a similar combat value as the vulture, having slightly more health but dealing slightly less damage. However, unlike the vulture, the locust has one of the new trainings, and that is the ability to forage for food, putting it above vultures in B tier, making the one arthropod the best of the birds category. It's almost as if arthropods are just the ultimate life forms. Also, did I mention it could fly?
Shit.
And now moving on to the second and largest category, being that of the general untrainables, also known as pit animals and livestock. They usually represent some ecological niche in each of the respective biomes, but are largely going to be grouped together because much like medium birds, several of them are basically the same animal. And this is the biggest I'm going to be splitting into 3 subcategories: small, medium, and large animals. We start with the small general untamables, and we have the following 6. Bullfrogs, minks, hermit crabs, porcupines, armadillos, and prairie dogs.
We're gonna feed Big Ounce this entire shark.
And of all 6 of these, I have to say roughly half of them are okay in a fight, those being porcupines, armadillos, and hermit crabs, with hermit crabs and porcupines being only barely okay, as both of them have a significant possibility to dying in a single strike, but having a decent attack and at least some armor. Ultimately, all 3 of them aren't useless pet animals, but the armadillo is definitely going to be the one that will consistently be pulling its own weight and trading off for you, as it has a significant longevity over the other 2 due to its better armor and its decent attack. However, I will still be taming every frog I come across, moving right along. On to the medium animals, and let's start with lava snails. Now, lava snails are the biggest surprise to me because out of everything they could have been used for, I don't expect their only real use to be that of a food source.
People eat snails. They must not like fast food.
But as it turns out, not only are snails a good meat animal, but if the numbers are correct, in regards to consumption and output, they are even better than pigs. However, they aren't good for eggs, or literally anything else. They can only be found naturally in lava fields, and they're terrible fighters. Thus, even though I never really use pigs, I'm gonna give them roughly the same rank I would a pig, moving on. Next up we will do wolverines and badgers because they are both similar sized animals who have a 50-50 chance of flipping their shit when you try to tame them. And I'm gonna be honest here, I actually think both of these are ranked down from armadillos, as they only have slightly better combat value, but without armor and the chance of violently assaulting you, which, if I'm being honest, is kind of doing the badger dirty, as it is the most fearless animal in all of the animal kingdom, but I will take my pro-badger propaganda elsewhere to present to you the stonecrab, as it's better than both of them in that it has armor, it has a similar DPS, won't maul you for trying to be friends with it, and hits the gritty on its opponents after it murders them. Thus making it B tier as the best untrainable pit animal we have so far. I guess arthropod supremacy is really just factual reality. As a matter of fact, they even dethroned tortoises, and by extension their new variant, the sea turtle, who is supposed to be a slight DPS upgrade from tortoises. And we can go ahead and conclude the mediums with monitor lizards, who I'll also go ahead and pop in high C or low B, just due to their higher health. They still aren't as good as a stone crab pound for pound, but at the very least can contend as a pit animal. They also lay eggs, but it's only 10 a year, which is even worse than vultures. On to the large untrainables. Alright, we're almost done with the pit animals, we only have like fucking 4 more to do. Starting out with alligators, and let's be honest, you're just gonna build a base around water and fill it with these guys just as a high-mate swimming pool practical joke.
Can we swim in this?
You can, but there's gators.
Did you hear that?
But as for gators themselves, and honestly word banks too, they are capable of holding their own pretty consistently against most lower standard colonists, though they don't really power snowball either. Thus, I'm going to give both of them a respectable B tier ranking, and keeping gators about where they are due to higher DPS. Muskox, there's nothing really to say about them, they're basically just muffalo. Moose are even worse, as even though they are strong, they can't be milked, sheared, and they're pet animals, meaning there's nothing really you can use them for besides meat. That leaves us with only hippos, and if there was a single animal in this category that I would recommend using a sentience catalyst on, it would be the hippo due to its high health and high damage. It is usually more than a match for most single colonists, though it still isn't exactly a thrumbo, so don't let it get bogged down and crushed. But other than that, I would probably place the hippo at the top of B as the best of the pit animals. Moving on to the sophisticated category, all animals in this category are going to be at least some level trainable, and plenty of them are also advanced training, having a unique skill even on top of it. And starting off, let's do the mastodon, which is basically a better variant of the elephant. Fully trainable, but with more health and damage potential, along with both of them getting the new war trumpet ability. I don't think the war trumpet is that great, but it is a certainly welcome addition. And since I would rank the elephants high, I see no reason not to make the mastodon the first animal deserving of S tier. And as for another animal that is a downgrade, we can talk about the panda, which is less than half the health and damage of a grizzly bear, and isn't even as trainable as a grizzly. There's no chance of it attacking during the taming process, and it has access to the new comfort skill, which lets animals become glorified therapists with their nuzzling, but it's defeated by the fact that the bear has a new, more useful skill as well, letting it attack specific targets. Therefore, I'm putting it in C tier. It has some value, but I'm prioritizing Freddy Fazbear over the panda any day of the week.
Holy shit, it's Freddy Fazbear.
Megavoles. Now, these things are awesome. They really only have one definite purpose in your colony, and they fulfill it very well, and that is to mine for you. Among the new special trainings that you can give to animals, Dig is one of these new trainings, which will cause your animal to randomly mine selected blocks for you. A few other animals have it as well, but Megavoles appear to be the pound-for-pound best investment for solely mining, being cheaper and even appearing to mine faster too. They do have intermediate training, and they aren't terrible in a fight, but aren't exactly anything special either. However, the ability for an animal alone to completely eliminate the need for miners, at least up until you get a drill, is very easily deserving of A and possibly even S tier. Otters. Now, I know I'm going to be expected to be lenient with otters because about 4 or 5 years ago, Doug popularized the whole otter meta.
Okay, so why are sea otters important? It is because they're cute.
That clock keeps ticking like a mitch.
But I'm going to be perfectly honest here, otters barely even make it into the sophisticated category. They are intermediate training, so guard and attack, and that's about it. No ability to haul, no ability to forage. It can't even roleplay as a therapist and get the comfort training. If it was a decent fighter, we would be having a different discussion, but since it's 50% health, no armor, not great DPS, and can't be spam bred, I don't even know if it breaks itself out of the D tier category. Following this up with the Colossus Toad, which is in a similar boat, but has fairly better health and double the DPS of an otter. It still struggles to break even on C tier, but given its intermediate training and, like the otter, no chance of it mauling you on tame attempts, I could potentially see someone running a pack of violent frogs.
No.
Good C tier, goddammit, I went easy on them, moving on. Seals and sea lions are next, and both of them are generally decent and good animals, as both have the whole advanced training. Sea lions are slightly better with both health and damage, but seals have access to the comfort skill, which is okay, I guess. I basically consider them to be the huskies of the sea, due to the fact that they have all the skills of one and go as fast on the water, but they aren't as good of fighters as huskies though. But all in all, pretty good all-around animals, A tier for both.
Uh-oh.
Tiger, greatwolf, and scimitar cat next, and all three of them are once again solid power animals with advanced training, attack target training, and generally great DPS. All three are comparable to a warg in regards to stats, and thus, while also being naturally advanced training, that's going to pop them into bare minimum A tier range, as anything that promotes warg combat effectiveness, without dealing with warg's bullshit HR complaints in the form of mauling your colonists, is deserving of praise, but I think you could even argue that some of them belong in S tier. Hyenas, I mean boghounds, are pack dogs that can only be found in the Scarlands or sold from traders. They are fine with toxic environments if that's what it takes, and are at about even blows with huskies in combat effectiveness. They are only intermediate training, but they have access to attack target training, so that does help them stay competitive with other sophisticated animals. B tier. The gorilla does not fuck around. The gorilla is a powerful advanced training animal. The gorilla does not care about the age of consent. Okay, the gorilla is a high health, high damage, and advanced training, just like the tiger trio, but what makes it different is instead of attack target, it has the new forage skill training instead, which allows it to produce food on your colony's behalf. I don't know if this food amount is enough to pay for their own training, but it is certainly a welcome addition, just like with the locusts. Thus, gorillas, I'm going to grant the title of high A tier, comparable to the tiger, greatwolf, scimitar cat trio, and you can put it above or below them depending on what you need. And that's going to do it for the sophisticated category, and moving on to the last category, being the apex, we only have 2 animals to talk about. The first animal we have is the alpha thrumbo, and if we're talking about pure base stats, health and damage, the alpha thrumbo has no equal at 1200% HP, almost 10 average DPS. Furthermore, it's able to procreate with regular thrumbos, potentially creating more alpha thrumbos. Lastly, its new training as well, being similar to that of the war trumpet, but instead of just slowing your enemies, the alpha thrumbo's roar can straight up scare your enemies shitless and cause them to run away. Combining this with multiple alpha thrumbos, and you could potentially even scare off a large percentage of a late game raid. Thus, the alpha thrumbo is a self-explanatory S tier the moment you get what it takes to tame it. And finishing our list, we have the Hive Queen, standing in at almost 1000% HP, 7.1 average DPS, and advanced training. That alone makes it better than a standard thrumbo. However, what really puts it above the rest of the animals, including the alpha thrumbo, who is fairly better than it stat-wise, is its egg spew ability, which allows it to spawn larva, another new animal that spawns tame to your faction and can be trained to spew acid. The larvae themselves aren't anything too special in regards to combat, being less than most of the animals mentioned. However, their infinite replicability by the queen and their ability to spit acid make their ranking of C tier almost irrelevant. The egg spew makes the Hive Queen practically the animal equivalent to the Mechanoid's War Queen, as it can provide you practically limitless reinforcements, using an ability with an only 2-hour cooldown with no cost whatsoever, as well as an infinite supply of free meat. I literally see this as the end game for the animal skill, as so long as you have someone with the competence to train them, you can have a free standing army of ranged animals at all times, as the queen itself also provides the meat for the training. Thus, in my opinion, it stands as currently the best animal in the entire game, just like all arthropods. Better luck next time, Thrumbo.
It should have been me, not him!
But that will about do it for this tier list video. If you enjoyed it or agreed with anything I said, please leave me a comment down below telling me what you thought of it, as well as what you would like to see next, both Rimworld and otherwise. And if you disliked it or disagreed, also leave a comment so I can engage and inform you in the replies. Also, if you're new here, please consider subscribing, as I upload new long-form videos every week, as well as new shorts almost every day encapsulating variety content, including challenges, guides, memes, audience participation, playthroughs, and even theories. Lastly, consider joining the Discord and becoming part of the show. But with that being said, thank you all again so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.